Hi guys, welcome back to BARROVAIN MADE. And I don't know if you can tell, but the audio quality is mwah. I got a new microphone for my birthday. It's one I've been looking at for a very long time. Really do recommend it. This isn't a sponsored video or anything like that, but I know a lot of you guys are YouTubers yourself. If you're looking for a quality microphone, I got this one. What's it called? Hollyland. I got it on Amazon. It's about £150, or you can get the one with the charging case and everything for 200 odd quid. But it has worked wonders for me and I love it. So hopefully I don't break this one. It comes with a proper receiver. Actually, I'll see if I can show you. It comes with a proper receiver and stuff that obviously I plug in to my iPhone. I'll shut up about my microphone. Today's project in this little Christmas calendar thing. Oh, I forgot my hat. Today's project, we're going to be working with end grain again. We love oak end grain, or at least I love oak end grain. If this block looks familiar, it's because a very, very long time ago in this project, we made some oak end grain chopping boards out of this block. This is the scrap, and I saw a table on Instagram that did something similar to what I'm going to be doing today. I loved it, and I thought that would look so good on a chopping board, and I can use up this scrap and we can use the end grain on it. So let's quit talking, let's jump into it. You've already seen what the chopping board looks like, so that's what we're going to be going for. You know, you've seen it in the thumbnail. Let's shut up and get on with the video. So I'm roughly cutting these out to I think it was about 1.25 inches, maybe an inch. Can't remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it was 1.25 inches. So I can make a decent size thickness chopping board, because we are going to have to take material off this because we are planning to do an epoxy pour. So, you know, I don't have a perfectly level surface in my shed. Sometimes the epoxy might drift over to one side. I do my best to try to level it all out, but it doesn't always work out that way. But we're going to go ahead. We're cutting all these down, and once it gets too sketchy to use the why can't I speak? So once it gets too sketchy using the unnamed attachment to the table saw, we're going to use the normal fence. We didn't start off using a fence like this before because I think there's a rule of thumb where you shouldn't have a certain length sticking out if it's not long enough, if you know what I mean, to prevent the blade from twisting, pinching it and throwing it across the workshop. So once I've got it down to a little nub, I can take it to the fence with confidence. And what we're doing here is some dodgy cuts on the chop saw. What we should have really done is used a normal hand saw to get all of these angles in. Basically, we're just cutting a bunch of different random angles into the, well, I say random, I did mark them all out. As you can see, there's bits of paper on there. What I did is I drew up on an A4 bit of paper what I wanted it to look like, and then I cut out those bits of paper and glued them to these. I did it on a bit of paper first to make sure that I liked the look of the chopping board we were going for. Unfortunately, a lot of you guys know nothing ever goes right on this channel, so I had to include a bunch of small little offcuts, which I think completely ruined this chopping board. And to be honest, I wish I hung around a bit longer and found some chunkier stock somewhere that I could use in it. But this is all the stock I had, and I didn't have any of those nice big chunks anymore, so I had to make do with all the little offcuts to fill up those black voids instead of having it all nice chunky pieces. I mean, the chopping board still did come out looking pretty good, but I think it could have looked a hell of a lot more better. And anyway, the person that I gifted this to anyway was very much happy with it, so I'm happy if they're happy. But yeah, and you're probably wondering is why am I spreading around the epoxy on the top of it like this? It just seems like a waste of epoxy. Because oak end grain is very, very porous, and I know I'm using a powder pigment in this and not a liquid pigment, but I was worried that it might stain some of the bits. So I figured if I do it all the way across, it will be evenly stained. That is if it is stained, but it didn't do any staining. It was a little bit of a waste of epoxy there, but it's best to, you know, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And right here, we got the best, but we didn't prepare for the worst. But overall, it was good. Anyway, I'm going to shut up because I'm starting to confuse myself now. We're going to put this through the surface planer to get it all down. And whenever you're surface planing end grain, you want to fractionally move it down. Don't take big chunks. You will just blow the hell out of it and ruin the piece you're working on. And a lot of people won't even touch end grain on a surface planer. But as long as you move it like an eighth of a turn of the handle down at a time and just slowly take little tiny bits off, you should be fine. I do this method all the time, and it seems to work. But anyway, we're going to go to the table saw now. I'm going to square up all the four sides. Sorry that the camera's moving around a lot. I'm no camera whiz, as you'll know on this channel. I am slowly getting better, but yeah. Also forgot to adjust my LED in the background, so it's currently flashing and doing all sorts. But yeah, going around, we're squaring up this board, and as you'll see, it's not as thick as I originally wanted it. It's still a good thickness for a chopping board, I think, but I wanted it like a butcher board sort of thickness. But unfortunately, we didn't get that. We just got like a normal store-bought chopping board thickness. Either way, I think it looks nice. But what we're doing is we're working our way through all of the grits, going all the way up to, I think we actually went to 600 grit, which is pretty high grit for doing wood, but I didn't want the epoxy to be like dead matte, so I did it all the way up to 600 grit instead. The reason you don't want to do very high grits is because the very fine sawdust can clog the pores of the wood and prevent any finishes from actually soaking deep into the wood. But this is oak grain, it soaks a hell of a lot up, so I wasn't too worried about it. So I just sanded it to a very high grit, and it seemed to soak up a lot of epoxy. Not epoxy, sorry. It seemed to soak up a lot of finish, so I wasn't too fussed about it. And one good thing as well is I did this epoxy part in a very cold workshop, and the epoxy was very thick, but somehow we didn't end up having to do any touch-ups. I thought for sure on those cracks you see in those bigger chunks, I was going to have to come back and fill them back up, but the epoxy filled everything. So I'm astonished, but I'm happy. You know, less work for me. I'm happy with that. So we got it all sanded up, and just going through now, wetting it all. It's important to wet the wood when you're doing like oak end grains and stuff like that, because as soon as you put a bit of finish on there, you'll notice when you rub your hand over it, it's no longer smooth and it's all like prickly and stubbly, and you think, why the hell is it like this? I spent so long sanding it all the way up to a nice high grit, and it's like, well, basically whenever you wet it or saturate the wood, it makes fibers stick up. So if you wet it before you do your finish and you go back and sand it again, you get rid of all those little fuzzies that pop up, and then you can confidently put some finish on there. And I didn't show it too much on camera, but after I turned the camera off, I did go around and just kept letting it soak up as much hard wax oil as possible. I'm pretty sure this hard wax oil is safe, but this chopping board's not going to be used as much as a chopping board, but more as like a serving tray sort of thing. So it's not going to have too much contact with food and stuff. But I'm pretty sure this hard wax oil that I've got anyway is food safe. So even if it was to be used as a chopping board, it would be perfectly fine. It'd be no more harmful anyway than, you know, the microplastics that would happen if you scratched the epoxy. So I don't know. Let me hear your debates down in the comments below, and let me hear what you guys use for your chopping boards and stuff. Usually I use mineral oil and beeswax, but I've noticed as soon as you go to clean those chopping boards that are finished with mineral oil and beeswax, it takes the finish right off. So hard wax oil seems to be a bit more resilient. That's why I used it here. But I'd love to hear what you guys use. But this is the finished product. I think it came out looking really nice. It's all very sleek. It's just not as perfect as I wanted it to be. I wanted a lot more chunkier pieces in there, but after all said and done, I still think it looks really nice. So drop your opinions down in the comments below. Let me know what you use to finish your chopping boards. Let me know what you think of this chopping board and if you're going to be making it at home. And I'll see you in the next one, guys.